Welcome, everyone. I'm Kelly Duer, Senior Shelter Solutions Specialist at Maddie's Fund. Today, we are joined by Dr. Amir Sarrafchi, who is a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Guelph. Welcome, Dr. Sarrafchi.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thanks for the invitation and thanks for the introduction. Uh, Today, I'm going to talk about the choice and agency and the role of choice and agency in improving welfare of the shelter dogs. So how to listen to the dogs. This is what is very important to us. My name is Amir. I'm a postdoc doctoral fellow at the Department of Animal Bioscience at the University of Guelph in Ontario, Canada. So today, Uh, first, in my presentation, I'm going to start with different animal welfare viewpoints, traditional viewpoints versus modern viewpoints. And then I will go through some leading animal welfare models to assessing animal welfare and what does specifically exist in the literatures about animal agency and choice, and what is uh, their role in animal welfare nowadays. And then I will discuss about the kind of non-consensual activities that we do with the animals and the animals in our like uh, captivity are supposed to do, and what are the welfare concern, if there is any welfare concern in them. And then I will talk about the behavioral indicators of emotional states in dogs, specifically the positive emotional states. And then I will go through the choice in the previous literatures. And then I will talk about the dog part of my PhD project, which was about the choice during interaction with humans. And then what we can do for the shelter dogs in the shelter environment to kind of promote agency practice behaviors. So, what are different animal welfare viewpoints? Traditionally, welfare was emphasizes on productivity and performance of the animals. So vets, farmers, and whoever was involved in with the animal welfare believe that, okay, if the animals are in a high production or high reproduction rate, it means that their welfare is good. So basically, from the traditional perspective, welfare inferred from the physical health and from the ability of the animal to exhibit natural behaviors. But nowadays, uh, the welfare viewpoints changed to emotional states, affective states of the animals, and they are now focusing on the subjective states. It means that it's not enough to just focus on the production and reproduction of the animals. We should look at the negative versus positive emotions. For example, are the animals like experiencing fear, pain, frustration during interaction with the environment, with the humans, with the other animals? Uh, or they are like experiencing comfort, pleasure, engagement. So the goal in the modern perspective is to minimizing negative emotional states and kind of promote positive experiences. And it is important to know that the balance between positive and negative emotions should outweigh toward positive experiences. So the modern perspective is emphasizes on the quality of life and not just survival, production, and productivity of the animals. So based on this, in the modern like animal welfare science, the new topics, new features of positive animal emotions emerge, like choice, agency, control, competence. By definition, choice is providing animals with multiple environmental options. Okay, that's simple, and then we can guess that. But what is agency? Agency in the welfare science is referred to the ability of the animals to engage voluntarily in goal-directed behaviors, the behaviors that the animals are intrinsically motivated to perform. So the key word for agency is voluntary interaction. voluntary interaction. That's very important. And control. Control is defined as uh, when the animal can consistently and predictably make choice and obtain the outcomes that they are uh, willing to achieve. So the key word for the control is predictability. So don't forget that when the situation is predictable for the animals, it shows that, okay, the situation is under animals' control. What is competence? Competence is the outcome of agency. When the animal has agency, they have the opportunity to exercise it during their interaction with the animal, with the environment, with the humans, and they can use these skills that they gain from these interactions and use it for their during their lifetime, during in the future. That's competence. They they learn some skills and use it for their lifetime in the future. So, one of the leading frameworks that for the animal welfare assessment is called five domain model, focusing on five domains as it is in its title. Domain one is focused on the nutrition and nutritional and hydration status of the animal. Domain two is the physical environment and like contributed conditions available to the animals, like space, like air quality, bedding, and so on. And domain three is focused on the health, veterinary and animal science. We know that about disease, injuries, illness, and so on. But what we want to be focused on is domain four. It's called behavioral interaction. And this domain is specifically known as agency domain. So what was the key word for agency? Voluntary interaction. So the animals have the ability to exercise agency through what? Through three options: animal environment interaction, animal animal interaction, and animal human interactions. But how? Voluntarily. Don't forget that. That's the keyword for agency. And domain five is the mental experience. It's the kind of the result of domains one to four, and the outcome will be like the mental experience of the animal, represent the animal's welfare outcome. But uh, interestingly, one of the welfare scientists, like Dr. Spinka, uh, specifically focused on agency domain, which was domain four. And he divided agency into four levels. Level one was passive or reactive agency, so, which is controlled by the brainstem in the CNS. It's subconscious reflective behavior to external stimuli. For example, when the turbulence is happen and this at the surface of the sea, the fish is uh, do diving behavior in response to that. It's a it's a type of agency because they are voluntarily do it, but it is passive. The second level of agency is action-driven agency, controlled by subcortical level of the brain. And it is survival-related behaviors like seeking food, shelter, or avoiding predation, and so on, which is like most aligned with domain one, two, three of the five domain model. But level three is competence building agency, which is active behavioral interaction to build the skill for future use. It is it need to be developed because it is confident and it will be gained from the voluntarily interaction but like to the animal environment and humans. So it's very important that to know that like this level of agency is kind of involved in learning related emotions, like it's social learning. For example, if I would give you an example, it's a kind of by play behavior in dogs has lots of social learning in it, and it's a competence building agency. this level of agency, Dr. Spinkow believed that it is more aligned with domain 4, behavioral interaction. And then we have the aspirational agency, which is controlled by the neocortex in the CNS, and is less prominent in non-human animals, at least so far to our knowledge, because there are few studies on that, and we need more knowledge, more evidence to see if non-human animals have this level of agency or not. But so far, we know that like it is less prominent in non-human animals. So it's come through the complex interactive behaviors and resulting from planning and goal-directed behaviors. The kind of like activities that we are encountering during interaction with dogs, we need to ask like ourselves if they are a welfare concern, because we don't know that animals involving in any type of interaction, are they voluntarily signed up? Are they, if they are transported to a different environments, how do they feel? Because most of these transportations are like they are not like by their choice. They don't have choice, that they are kind of forced to do that transportation. And when they are interacting with the people, most of these people are unfamiliar to the animals, specifically to the dogs, I mean. And these interaction with the inadequately trained people could be a welfare concern. So these are the important questions that we should ask ourselves. And they have a lack of control over these interactions. These situations are not predictable to that. You know that you remember that the keyword for the definition of control is predictable. So lack of control over these interactions because they don't have like previous experience about that. And inadequate like acclimatization times, the like when we are when they are supposed to interact, and like when they are transferring to a new environment, they have enough time to get familiar with unfamiliar location, with unfamiliar environment. These are the welfare questions that we need to ask. And these are the non-consensual activities that the dogs specifically are supposed to perform. So how we can measure dogs' responses? We need some indicators of emotional states. Behavioral indicators are uh, available and easy to measure. So, based on the previous literatures, now we know that like negative emotions in dogs are indicating, for example, by lip licking, yawning, panting, tail down, uh, ears in a backward position, or avoiding behaviors like toward the participants. These behaviors are indicating of negative emotions. And but what about the positive emotions? Positive emotions are a bit like challenging to measure, but based on the literatures, we know that like approaching behaviors, play behaviors, tail wagging, these type of behaviors are indicative of positive emotions in dogs. These are the indicators that we can measure emotional states as the behavioral indicators in dogs. Uh, what does like previous studies said about choice? We know that like when I was doing my PhD, I noticed that okay, there are few studies focused on the choice and the effect of touch and tactile interaction uh, in dogs. So like among these few, like when the choice was the focus of the experiment, it was demonstrated that restraining the dog and petting specific body parts increased feeling of anxiety, fear, and confusion, and raised the possibility of escalation and aggressive behavior. And the cortisol level, as the uh, a stress hormone, were significantly higher where the dog were on leash, suggesting that the situation may play a critical role in canine welfare. So all shows that the choice is an important role in dog's welfare. And another study demonstrated that using a leash during human-dog interaction could increase arousal and aggressive behaviors in dogs. And when we look at the touch interaction, a higher frequency of lip licking and avoidance behavior was observed in a social environment and during a student stress booster event. In both these events, the dogs were supposed to be involved in a forced touch interaction. That's why, again, shows that, okay, when they are so forced and when they don't have a kind of choice to interact, they show some indicators of negative emotions and stress. So, what did I do during my PhD studies? The one part of my project was about dog, the influence of choice on dog's response during human touch interaction. It was done in a dog training facility called Dogs in the Park. And the project was sponsored by Nestle Purina and Campbell Center for the Study of Animal Welfare at the University of Guelph. In this study, we hypothesized that forced touch will increase stress-related behaviors like lip licking, yawning, ears in a back position, and so on. And free choice touch will decrease stress-related behaviors, reduce stress-related behaviors. 44 humans were participated in the study and 18 therapy dogs. The dogs that we used in our study were therapy dogs. Therapy dogs are a type of dogs that they are trained to interact with the humans to kind of reduce the level of stress in humans because the humans in these type of interactions are traumatized humans, are like special type of, for example, people and so on. 9 male dogs and 9 female dogs were involved, and each human interacted with up to 4 dogs during the whole study for the duration of the test, which was 3 minutes. All tests were video recorded for further analysis. So, what was the experimental design of the study? So, we had 2 main treatments. In the left picture, you see that the treatment was forced touch. The dog was on leash, as you see, and the owner was sitting on the chair, and the human participant was sitting on the ground. And the session was all video recorded. In the right picture, you see the free choice touch treatment. Again, the owner was sitting on the chair, and the human participant was sitting on the yellow mat on the ground. And the reason that we have the owner inside the experimental pen, because based on the previous practice we did for the experimental design, we came up with the idea, okay, to get the best result and to get the best interaction among the humans and the dogs, the owners should be present inside the experimental pen. Otherwise, dogs are distracted and they don't cooperate during the procedure. So yeah, it was the experimental design about choice and dog. So the left side, the dog was on leash, forced to be involved in the touch interaction. In the right side, you see the dog was free in the experimental pen, and the human participant was instructed to touch the dog only if the dog is within arm reach. Okay, so behaviors retrospectively coded from the video recordings, and we have 2 types of samplings, instantaneous samplings and continuous sampling. Panting, ear position, participant avoidance, and owner interactions were recorded as the instantaneous sampling with 10-second interval. And lip licking, yawning, sniffing behavior, and belly exposure was the behaviors that were sampled as a continuous sampling. In the statistical section, we used a generalized linearly mixed model with repeated measures. And in the statistical model, we used free and choice touch treatment and sex of the dogs as the fixed factors, and we use human, dog, and date as the random factors. The results showed that touch treatment, forced touch versus free choice touch treatments, ear back behavior was higher during forced touch, but avoidance behavior was higher during free choice touch. And when we looked at the sex of the dogs, avoiding participants, avoidance behavior was higher in male dogs, and owner interactions was also higher in male dogs. We discussed that the situation maybe because ear back position was the only stress behavior that we observed in therapy dogs. So we discussed that maybe the situation was likely not stressful enough, or maybe it wasn't long enough to measure other stress-related behaviors like lip licking and yawning. And we interpreted that emotional indicators should be interpreted alongside a support from another measurements like physiological measurements. So in the dog study, we only measured behavioral indicators, but other side of the project was about horses. We measured both behavioral indicators and physiological indicators. So we concluded that, oh, maybe we need to have physiological indicators as well. And the other interpretation and explanation for the result was that no occurrence of stress-related behaviors except ear back was observed in the dogs because because we only had the behavioral indicators. But it was interesting that descriptive results showed that dogs spend most of their time within human reach during free choice site treatment. It shows that the dogs kind of prefer to stay with the humans when they are free. And the other point that we had to discuss about was the training effect in trophy dogs, because the trophy dogs are the type of like service dogs that are trained to interact with humans. And less avoidance behavior in forced touch treatments because was demonstrated because they were when they are off leash, they may have the leash itself may have signaled the dogs that you are off duty. So that's why maybe they showed less avoidance behavior in forced touch treatment. And it was supported and kind of by other evidence, by other behavior, sniffing behavior, because sniffing behavior was also higher during free choice touch treatment. A time to explore their surroundings rather than engaging with the participants. It was a support for uh, showing less avoidance behavior as well, and the effect of uh, training in the therapy dogs. And the other point that we wanted to discuss in our discussion was about the evolution and domestication in dogs, because the dogs are very distinct from their wild ancestors. They are domesticated, and we know that the domestication genes is now identified, and they show a kind of different behavior from their wild ancestors, who are wolves, gray wolves. And nowadays they have a close interaction with the people. They are close friend to the peoples because because the domestication is completed and they are now become fully domesticated. So they come up with the idea that, okay, we have a theory in the human literature first. It's called attachment theory. Consists of four main criteria: secure base, safe haven, proximity seeking, and separation distress. Secure base means that the dog uh, explore the environment only if the owner is here. And safe haven is that the dog will return to the owner, to the close friend, when they get stress. And the proximity seeking means that they would like to just stay with their owners, with their close friends. And separation distress or separation anxiety means that they get a stress when they are separated from their owners. It is important to know that dogs meet all these criteria. And the reason that I put all these pictures at the bottom of this slide is that it is one of our practice sessions. If you see the dog's face, the dog is always looking at the camera because the owner was standing behind the camera. And it shows that, okay, domesticated dogs are very attached to their owners and they are fulfilling all these criteria. Because the attachment theory originated from the human psychological studies. And but nowadays we know that, okay, this theory can be transferred to the animal psychology as well. And dogs are among the few species that fulfill all criteria. That's why they are very distinct from their wild ancestor, and they are now very close to their to people, to humans. For example, like the horses, the other side of my project was human-horse interactions, and we never saw these type of behaviors in horses. In dogs, we only see, or like for example, one stress-related behaviors that was ear back, but in horses, like many stress-related behaviors was observed during human interaction. So this study, if you're interested to read the full text and the full result of the study, it was published in Applied Animal Behavior Science Journal with the title "Can I Touch You?" A pilot study comparing consensual and non-consensual human-dog touch interaction in 2025. So how we can translate this information to the shelter dogs. Do we have really lack of agency in shelter dogs? Shelter dogs often experience non-consensual conditions, including restricted movement and choice, limited control over social interactions, forced handling by unfamiliar people, unpredictable daily routine. If they have these examples, that could like ring in the mind that, okay, they lack agency in their environment. So these conditions reduce the dog's ability to exercise agency. Again, I repeated the definition of the agency. That's very important. Voluntary engagement in goal-directed behaviors that animals are motivated to perform. So don't forget that. Voluntary engagement, voluntary interaction is very important for its definition. So let's map these conditions, shelter conditions, into the 5-domain model. Domain one was nutrition. Domain 2 was physical environment. Are they like confined in the kennels? Do they have a limited space and reduce environmental complexity? Do they have a few opportunities for exploration? Are all these conditions are kind of restricted agency, restricted voluntary interaction with the environment? And what about health? They increased risk of infectious disease. Stress-related health consequence can be increased. But when we focus on domain 4, which is the agency domain, behavioral interaction, shelter dogs have restricted animal-animal interactions. animal-human interactions, animal-environment interactions, or fewer interactions with the outside environment. It is important because limited choice, limited control, limited competence building behaviors has consequences for the dogs, has consequences for the when they got adapted. And that when we evaluate the overall welfare of the dogs in domain 5, which is the mental state, emotional state of the dogs, reduced agency will be leads to increased negative emotional states like fear, anxiety, and frustration, and limited opportunities for positive emotions like comfort, in the interest, and confidence, which all are important for shelter dogs when they got adopted. So the let me finish the okay. So what is the welfare the implications when they have a reduced agency in the environment? Environments that limit agency restricts dogs' ability to adapt and cope. Emotional coping responses may manifest as fearfulness, stereotypic behaviors, or abnormal behaviors, reduced sociability. All these factors are important for the shelter dogs, for the dogs when they are adapted. So implications for adaptation. Adapters, yeah, obviously tend to prefer to have dogs that are social, that are socially active, socially interactive. They display confidence rather than fear. They would like to have dogs that do not exhibit abnormal behaviors. So when we reducing the dog's ability to voluntarily engage in their interactions, these type of behaviors will develop and reduce the chance of adaptability in these dogs. That's important. So enhancing agency within shelter environments improve overall welfare, promotes positive emotional states, and increase the chance of adaptation and long-term adaptation success, which is very important for the shelter dogs. So what is the take-home message of today's presentation? So agency-based practice. I put voluntary engagement here. Agency-based practices provide greater control over the environment, reduce stress and enhance positive emotions, and improve animal welfare, and lead to more adaptive behavioral responses. So the keyword for the agency is the voluntary engagement. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm here for questions if there are any. Thanks. And the list of references and resources if you are interested to know the resources of this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sarrafchi. It was wonderful. We have a couple of questions in the Q&A, and if anybody has questions out there, please put them in the Q&A box. Sarah is asking, did you always do force touch first and then allow for free choice, or did you alternate?
It was random. So before starting each treatment, randomly we choose like for each dog, starting a forced touch treatment or the free choice touch treatment. So it was all random. There was no order for that.
Great. Julie Lonnie, she says, what an interesting webinar. I would love to get some references on the domestication gene. But Julie Lonnie, if you could put it in the chat if it's something you want to speak with him about later, or if, oh, thank you so much. She's coming on. Hello, Julie Lonnie.
Hi. I was just really intrigued when Dr. Sarrafchi brought that up, and I thought, wow, I want to learn more about that. Yeah. So
yeah.
Later.
For your information, I think, yeah, domesticated genes are like are identified in some animal species, including dogs. And if I remember correctly, one of the very good books that you can read is Behavior of Domesticated Animals. And there is one chapter about specifically about dogs by Per Jensen, edited by Per Jensen. He is the professor at the University of Linköping in Sweden, where I was a master student there. He's now focused on his research is focused on the domesticated genes in animals, including poultries, horses, and dogs. And they identified domesticated genes, which is very different, like between domesticated animals and their wild ancestors. And it's a very hot topic these days, and it's very important this area of research to provide some evidence that why domesticated animals behave differently with their wild ancestors. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That's yeah. I'm gonna look into that because I think it does affect I mean, our dogs, our pets are domesticated. So I
Yeah.
think that the better understanding we have of the process, the better we can serve them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank
Julie
you.
Lonnie, since you are on here, do you want to ask your other question?
Yeah, I think my other question is based on your webinar. I fully understand and prioritize choice and agency. I think those are very important. And I was wondering if when a shelter dog does meet and greet, that if we are more mindful of bringing in agency and choice, that might improve the adoption outcome rather than kind of the way we do it now. Although I think it's nice that in some place the dog is off leash, the adopter get to sit down, and but I was just thinking that can we learn from what you have and improve the process of meet and greet in any way so that the dogs actually feel that it doesn't feel that it is being restrained, and the behavior would change during that short context of meet and greet. I guess what I'm trying to ask is what we learn here, the wisdom of agency and choice, can we apply it to meet and greet for a better outcome?
What do you mean by meet and greet? Ingredient?
No, I like when you have when you have a shelter dog, you take a shelter dog out to meet a stranger,
Yeah.
basically, right? You come in as a stranger, and you usually
Mm.
have a shelter person with the dog, and the shelter person may be one of many shelter person who had dealt with the dog, may not. So it's not in the same vein as an owner, like a dog that a person, like in your experiment, when the owner is sitting there. So an owner is someone the dog trusts, familiarize with, but
Yeah.
in a shelter quote unquote meet and greet, that context is very different.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, I got it.
that,
Yeah. The adoption process, like in shelter dogs, I think it starts like from very early in their life of the dogs. So one of the positive like emotional states that we talked about was competence. Competence is a kind of skills that dogs learn during their life to use it in the future. For example, social learnings, for example, social interaction with the people, but voluntarily. Don't forget that. So that because we need to develop agency. So when the dogs are supposed to interact with unfamiliar people, like from outside the shelter, so what we can do in the shelter before starting these kind of interactions for the dogs to provide some situations to for more social interactions, provide more options for the dogs so they can pick the options by their choice by their agency, by their voluntary interaction in these interactions, and become more social, become more confident, become less fearful when they are interacting with unfamiliar people, when they are get adapted with adapters. They are now more confident. They are less fearful, more confident, and show less abnormal behaviors. And these are the goals that we are looking for by providing agency, by providing choice, and building confidence for their future use, and increase the chance of adaptability for the dogs.
So I assume that it would be you would have better outcome if you get the shelter dog to practice with stranger people that they never see before, so that
Yes,
they have a
exactly.
of
Exactly. The sooner the better. Yeah, the sooner the better if they have interaction even with the unfamiliar people, the sooner they learn and get the competence and get the skill.
right. And if we make those practice super positive, like super reinforcing, then in their mind, when they do get a real adopter, um, we would expect a better outcome for that sort of, I call it meet and greet, which is, that's what's usually what's going on.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
No
That just totally blew my mind. It's awesome. Um, our next question, what are specific types of enrichment or activities that can help give animals agency? Kind of a similar thing, just not necessarily exactly with meet and greets, with other stuff too.
Yeah, I would like, yeah, that's a very important question. I think, again, back to the definition of agency, voluntary engagement in what? Animal-animal interaction, animal-environment interaction, and animal-human interactions. Whatever interaction which is voluntary interaction could develop confidence and could develop agency in the animals. When they are going to like kind of play behavior, let's say, play with the humans, with an object in the environment, play with other animals, with the other dogs. Do they have option? We should provide options, provide choice to our animals in the shelter. If they are, for example, supposed to play, maybe they prefer to play with this animal rather than the other one. If they are play with the object, if they are, for example, like to be involved in one environment, they maybe they have preference. We should provide choice for them to develop agency and increase their confidence. I think that in this way we can build agency and competence in the animals. Yeah.
Thank you. Lindsay is asking, could you give some examples of goal-directed behaviors?
Goal-directed behaviors. What are the goal-directed behaviors? The behaviors that the animals are motivated to perform. So we need to know what is normal behavior, what type of behaviors are animals, because they have different personality. What type of what type of behaviors our animals are motivated to perform. As soon as we know that, so we can provide different options in these behaviors. So animals go toward these motivated behaviors, which are their goals. So this is the goal-directed behaviors, like in this environment. Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions for types of interaction you can do with a dog? Well, and I think this is a similar question to the one we the other one where types of interaction you can do in a shelter with a dog that shows them choices so that they become more relaxed or confident. And how does that work while you're still in the shelter?
My suggestion is that the sooner we can start like these type of interactions, these voluntary interactions to the dogs, uh, they have a kind of golden period to develop these agency-based behaviors. So the sooner we start these behaviors, these options, these choices for the dogs, like if they are supposed to play, if they are supposed to interact with unfamiliar people, or whatever type of interaction they are supposed to do, the sooner in their life the better outcome we will get, and the increasing rate in their adoption success. Yeah.
Denise says, I had to miss the first part of this important webinar, but how is free choice communicated to the dogs? I wonder if Denise can maybe put in the chat her question, and we can just give us a little more information on it, and we can come back to this.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Hello, Denise.
Hi, I was just wondering, and this is an important webinar, if you can hear me. And I was wondering, how did you distinguish when the dog understood it had free choice and when it didn't?
During the forced touch interaction, the dog was on leash, and during the free choice touch interaction, the dog was off leash.
Okay.
So the human participant was instructed, yeah, during the free choice touch interaction, the participant was instructed to touch the dog only even if the dog was within arm's reach. But during the forced touch interaction, the dog was on leash, and the human participant was continuously touching the dog. So, and even following the dog when the dog was going away, the participant was instructed to follow the dog and continue touching. So yeah, because we wanted to measure to measure the dog's response when the dog has a choice and when the dog doesn't have a choice. Free versus force. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
no problem.
We have so many great questions. Shawnee is asking, as you know, trying to meet all the needs of all the dogs in the shelter environment is challenging. Are there any metrics you have in regards to quantity or quality of agency opportunities for dogs in a shelter? And when you see the positive results in the dog's behavior and mental well-being, what would be the goal for agency opportunities for each dog in shelter care?
I think it's very depend on it's different in shelter to shelter. It really depends how we are managing dogs in the shelter. We should look at the facility, look at their the type of behaviors that they are showing. If we are see that okay, the dogs that we are dealing with in the shelter are kind of frustrated, depressed, and not really willing to do or not really responsive or and so on. We should think that okay, we need some enrichment. What is the enrichment? Providing some choice, because environmental enrichment is not all about providing something physical. Maybe providing some choice could be a better enrichment in the environment, in the shelter. Like providing choice to see, okay, do we see any changes in their response, in their behaviors when I'm changing these the environment, when I'm providing different friends to the dogs, when I'm changing the people, when I'm changing the type of interaction, when I'm changing the type of toys that they are uh, playing with, do I notice any change in their behavior? These are the things that we need to play with, to work with, to come up with the best idea in the facility under our management. And it's very different in different shelters. But overall, the goal of the shelter is that okay, when the dogs are getting adapted, when the dogs are coming out of the shelter, outside the shelter, to interact with unfamiliar people, are they going to show positive emotional experience or negative emotional experience? If they are showing negative emotional experience, maybe that could be indicative of low agency in our facility. And if they are showing a positive emotional experiences, it shows that okay, the agency in our facility is good enough that's why the animals outside the shelter showing a positive emotions. That's the outcome of the 5 domain model that I explained in the welfare assessment. Yeah.
And exactly the reason why I talk to you all so much about foster, because if they, it is the place where they have the most agency is in a home.
Mhm.
Um, Birgit is asking, what if you are trying to give a dog a lot of choices to interact with humans and they just avoid them altogether? Do you just wait them out and eventually they probably will interact?
Yes. Yeah. To see, yeah. If I get the questions like correctly, yeah, I think yeah, because one of the type of interactions that they are supposed to do, and one of the most important one is the interaction with the humans, and specifically like unfamiliar humans. Uh, to wait and see what is the best outcome, what is the best experience come out in dogs' behavior. If you are providing like with different options with different people to the dogs to interact with and see, okay, this dog is more comfortable interacting with this person in with this individual rather than the other ones. So by providing the choice and agency, we are providing some agency, and the dog is now we can go to the next level to build competence, to give control. What was the key word for control? Predictable. So when the situation is predictable, dog has a better control in the situation. And what is competence is getting skills for the future use. So by providing these options, different people, they get more agency. Now they are familiar with this people, with this individual, so they have control over the situation. And now by interacting with this person, they are building skills and they are developing confidence. That's very important. Yeah.
Thank you. Kiska is asking, does this concept of getting dogs used to unfamiliar people as soon as possible, would it then be advisable to vary the staff providing feeding and care to the shelter dogs, like not assigning the same people to the same kennels all the time? So they're meeting different people.
Exactly. That's a very good idea. Yes. Meeting like the different people, it's it's providing different like choice to the dogs that okay, I'm not supposed to only interact with one person. I'm supposed to interact to be able to socialize with different people, and it's a kind of a skill that I'm learning from my childhood. And the sooner the better they will get it like more easily. Yeah, because in their like early like period of their lifetime, they learn the social learning much easier than when they are old.
Thank you. And Nicole is asking, why did you choose to use therapy dogs?
Oh, the therapy dogs, because therapy dogs are a type of dogs that they are trained to interact with the people. And we thought that, okay, by this training they have a intensive training program. And by these type of training, they are kind of forced to interact with the people. So when they are forced, we wanted to see, okay, what is what is their response when they are forcing to interact with people. At the same time, they are supposed to stay calm and comfortable, not showing any abnormal behavior, because the people that they are supposed to work with are traumatized people. For example, people's like suffering from autism children, people traumatized from like cerebral palsy children, and so on. Or older elderly people. So that's why we come up with the idea. Okay, therapy dogs are a good population to start working with, because forced interaction is very prominent in this population of the dogs.
Thank you. If there are a bunch of different people around the dog, then how does that work with predictability? Or are you predictable first and then until they're confident and then introduced to different people?
Yeah, exactly. That's the level. That's the level. First, providing choice, and then come up with the idea, okay, which choice work better, providing like make the voluntary interaction, and then goes for the control, make the situation predictable, and then goes for the confidence, make the building the skills for the future use. It's step by step and level by level. So start with the choice and then come forward providing agency, voluntary interaction, and then goes for the third step, which is control, make the situation predictable, and then goes for the competence. When we look at these concepts, even in humans, when we are supposed to do something new, if the situation is predictable for us, it means that yeah, we have more control and we feel more comfortable because I know what it will be going on. So now it is exactly transferable to the animals and dogs as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Curious about forced interaction in therapy dogs. Are their agency and choice compromised?
Yeah. Yes, because there are like the results are like controversy, but some studies shows like one of our study published in 2022 shows that like therapy dogs when they are supposed to interact with the students at a school at the time of final exams, because some therapy dogs come to the campus to interact with the university students during the exam times. We measured their behaviors and their physiological response, and it was indicated that they are experiencing a stress, but they don't show it. It's very subtle, and the subtle in behavioral indicators, stress-related behaviors are higher during interaction with the university students. Yeah, when they are forced, they experience stress.
Let's see. There was one in the question that was in the chat. Melvina says, I know that domestication of cats is not as advanced as dogs. So considering that, would you arrange a study like this for cats? Or what should change due to their domestication stage?
Uh, our study was just about dogs and horses. And as I know, domestication is not completed in cats as dogs. Dogs are among the animal species that are fully domesticated, and it's a kind of and the scientists believe that domesticated is kind of completed. But not it's unsure about cats. That's why like when you compared pet cats and pet dogs are very attached to their owners, but cats are more independent, show more predator behaviors, goes like outside, they are fully confident. Back home, they are not really dependent, and so on. Yeah. So it's really needed to do such experiments in cat as well. It would be very interesting.
Absolutely. And this is our last one, which comes at the perfect time because it is 4. Sometimes it's very difficult to see if they're interacting and how they're interacting. A small sign that that's not recognized is sometimes already acceptance, and it's important to be able to see that and move forward. Do you think the people interacting with the dogs would need to be taught specifically? In my experience, most of the staff is not ready for that because they're not as familiar about what they need to see and or expect. Is there any specific schooling available that they might have?
Oh, actually, I really don't know if there are any schooling for that, but it could be. I don't know.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sarrafchi. This was wonderful and something we just really, really needed. And thanks to all of you watching today's webcast. Dr. Sarrafchi will be on Maddie's Pet Forum to continue this discussion and answer your questions. And thank you all so much for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.